That's what I'm looking at. Okay, hey guys, and you know what? I'm going to also turn on my transcripts just so I have it. Oh, you know what? Transcripts aren't available because this is an old meeting, so I can't put transcripts on this one, but any new ones I can. But we talked about that last week. So I'm just going to go record. Hi guys, Trevor Beck here. It's Technology Drop-In Thursday. Today is March 18th. And more Microsoft stuff, and it's coming down the pipe all the time. So this is fun stuff. So let's jump right into it. And I will start here. So at McEwen, if you've been watching McEwen Midweek, we've talked about last week, we are having a series of workshops that are being led by Microsoft experts. So Microsoft is offering these sessions. I've listed them in my my Tech Savvy group. So mcewen.ca/make-me-tech-savvy URL will get you to the calendar, so you can sign up there for all those. So we had lists last week. We're doing automation on Monday, this coming up Monday, and then there's some other sessions. So if you haven't, I really recommend you sign up for stuff, because this is all new stuff, right? This is the future of where Microsoft is going, is making use of lists and automation and stuff. So really recommend you sign up for that. As part of that, I have a link here that this is where I'm going to be storing those recordings that I get from Microsoft. So it is in a SharePoint site, which we'll talk a little bit about maybe later, but it's basically anyone at McEwen can come in here. You'll see the first one listed right there. And then as the new ones come on, the recordings, I'm going to store them all in here. So we have them all in one place to go looking for them. So that's where you'll find that. This week, big news, recordings are now available for everybody for Microsoft Teams, and the recordings are now saved to OneDrive or SharePoint. So if you were able to record, it used to just share it in this temporary zone that you had 7 days to get it out of there and put it somewhere else. But today or yesterday was turned on. So everyone now, if you go and record your meeting, your meeting will now be saved to your OneDrive or your SharePoint. Where it gets sent depends where your meeting gets started in. So when we talk about those chats and those group chats and stuff like that, not a team chat, but a group chat, that's going to get saved to your OneDrive. The people that are in that conversation should automatically also get access, view access to those files. If you are coordinating a SharePoint meeting, so this, for example, this meeting here that we're doing is from a team, then that's going to get shared into SharePoint. And keep in mind, because of the way my team is set up, and I've given everybody rights to do stuff, it's automatically is editable by everyone that's on my team. So if I wanted to protect these things, which I probably do, I need to go in and manually in SharePoint change the sharing settings so it's view only except for the owners, so the owners of the team. Sorry, was that a question? Oh, no, just Dave popping in. Hey, Dave.
Sorry, bud. My computer's having kittens. It keeps wanting to restart Teams, so I just tried.
No worries.
For a minute.
No worries. I'm just going to mute you though.
Okay.
So your recordings are going to be shared into there. Now, as part of the sharing into OneDrive and stuff, we talked about this last week, is the new meeting recap experience. So this morning I had a meeting with Wamik, and we're just going to pull it up. So we had this meeting. I'm going to just go into here, into my past tense, and in there are the recordings and the transcript. So this is this new experience they're talking about. So up top here, you under details, you're going to see all the assets that are assigned to it. If I open my screen up a little bit bigger, I'm going to see actually, oops, come on. I am going to see more stuff get added. So there I can see my recordings and transcripts. So this is what we talked about last week. Apparently I did 2 different videos by the looks of it, or multiple. I don't know. I think some of this stuff is still being worked out. Here it says multiple available, but I actually have to go, if I click on here, I'll get 1 video. I only recorded 1 video, so I don't know why it's saying 2. Oh, I know why, because actually I just reused the meeting, so that makes sense. And then, but in here we get different pieces showing up. So as this is the experience that they're talking about. So afterwards, everyone that's in the meeting can always come here, look at the transcripts, look at the recordings for that meeting. So that's kind of nice that everything gets thrown all together in that. If you are using OneDrive, or sorry, yeah, Outlook for the web, Outlook has now enabled, oops, let me go back to this link. Where'd it go? Notifications based on the system that you're using. So what that means is instead of the browser here popping up a window to say, hey, Trevor, you got a meeting coming up, it's actually you can use my operating system's notification system to do that. So you'll see here in a second when it finally loads. Come on. There's an example. This is what it looks like on the Mac side of things. So that's using the Mac's built-in notifications. So on the website, you can turn that on. The beauty of this is when we do this is I don't even have to have Mail open or Outlook open on the web. Just the fact that I have my browser open on any page at all, Microsoft is still going to communicate with my operating system and pop up these windows to tell me when I get email and stuff like that. So that's a switch there that you can turn on and off depending on what you feel like doing. While we're in Microsoft, let's look at a neat feature here called Sweep. So Sweep is kind of like, hey, I want all the messages that are the same or from the same person. I want you to go through all of them and just delete them and get rid of them. So you're sweeping out the garbage basically. So when I select this is messages coming from Microsoft Technology Community at US blah, 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 whatever. So I often will get these different newsletters and stuff coming through, and I will read them, or sometimes I don't read them, it depends. But when I go and hit sweep here, what it's going to do is offer to go through and say, hey, I'm going to find all the messages from this group here. I'm going to look at them in your inbox, and if you want, I'm going to move them to your deleted items. So I can go ahead and say, yep, I'm going to go ahead and rather than my manually going through all those messages, I'm just going to say, yep, find all those messages and just throw them in the garbage. Now, the other nice thing about that, I shouldn't have deleted that. The other thing about that is when I go to sweep is I can also say always move messages older than 10 days from the inbox. So for example, when WebEx, I have meetings scheduled in WebEx, I will get an email saying, Trevor, your meeting's about to start in 15 minutes. And with a lot of meetings that I have, my mailbox get full of all these reminders and stuff. Instead of my going through and having to delete all those reminders, I can set this up to say, hey, you know what? If it's older than 10 days, just throw it in the garbage because I don't need it anymore because they're meeting reminders is all it is. You can just remove that. So there are some newsletters, there are some notifications from different services that I have that I just want the most recent ones, right? Another example is McEwen Midweek. Right, I don't need to go back in time because I can always go to the website. So I'm going to remove those automatically. Or anytime we get notices, a change notice, or the global mails giving you some news and stuff. After 10 days, you know what? Just throw it in the garbage. I'm not going to look at it anyways. So that's a nice feature. It's only, as far as I know, only available on the web side of things. So what I often will do is I will have my desktop app and my web app, and I will switch back and forth. And when I get one of these messages, now I'll just go, okay, I need to clean that out. And so I will go through and hit this and delete it. And hopefully that will clean out all my stuff. Also notice here that it says move messages from the inbox to wherever, and I can pick another one. So for example, I tend to send a lot of emails to myself. So when I go into my box, it's usually at least 5 or 6 emails a day because at night I'm reading and I'll go, oh, that's something to read. But that clutters up my inbox. So what I can do is I can take that and then automatically just say, you know what, just move that into Trevor's readings and I'll get to that later. So whether I do that automated, as soon as it comes in, I can do that, or the latest, just hang on to the latest one and move everything else. I can set that up as well. So that's a really handy feature. And the nice thing is if you do the automated stuff, it's going to sit in the background and run, even if you're on your desktop. So, this always keep or move all or whatever, those are all automated. This is a manual kind of a push. So good way to clean up your mailbox, which I need to do all the time. Where is this article now? Sweep out old messages. I talked about that. Catch up in Microsoft Word. So let me find this article here. So when you go into Microsoft Word, let's see if it'll do this for me. So I have this document. I've been working on it. I'm right now logged in as one of my test accounts, but I've also been logging and using it as Trevor. And you can see where I've made some comments and stuff like that. But there's a little thing up here that says catch up. And when you click on this, it'll show me what I've done. It's very similar to the history or version tracking that Google does. But the nice thing about this is instead of my having to go into that history or version mode, it's actually going to do it right here on the top. So when I click on Catchup, I can see the kind of stuff that's been happening here. So there were actual text changes. Because remember, when we work on our documents, we don't get a notification that someone has changed text. If we're collaboratively working with someone, it's only when someone leaves a comment or a suggested change do we get a notification. So on the Google side of things, you have to go into version tracking and blah, 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 and look for that. This is actually really nice because it's just like, oh, someone's made some changes, because as soon as I hit this, we saw that note pop up and I can click on here and go and see what those changes are. So that's Catchup. That's available on the web version of Word. I haven't seen it on desktop yet, but it might switch out. Who knows? I don't know. Oh, the other exciting thing is, and I don't know if I have it set up in this template. I do not, but shortcut keys. So I use control option 1, control option 2, control option 3. If I've set those up in Microsoft Word, the desktop app, those shortcut keys work here. So I can quickly switch from my different headings, heading 1, 2, and 3. I have shortcut keys that I can now type in here and they will work. You have to set that up in the document ahead of time, but once it's set up in the desktop, it'll work on the web here as well. Ooh, okay. Oh, here we go. Chrome live captions. So Google Chrome has this feature where anytime there's video playing, it'll give you captions. This was originally rolled out with some of their Android phones and stuff. It was touted last year as a big thing, but we can now actually see this on any video. Now you might have to update your Chrome. To update the Chrome browser, you just go into your settings and you pop over here to About Chrome, and then you can click on this and push for any updates. You'll need to restart, but that's how you can make sure you're up to date. Usually Google's pretty good about making sure your updates are done automatically, but if you need to push it, sometimes you can go in there. So once it's done that though, anytime there's any a video on here, it will automatically include live captions. So there's a couple of ways of doing about it. I sent you a link, or in here there's a link on how to do this. Oh, I didn't put the link in there. Well, then that's okay, because my way's better. I'm just going to open up this. So this video here is from the list session that happened on Monday. The problem with this piece here is I'm looking at this from our Google SharePoint site, but there is no live captions here anywhere. So I can't even, if I was someone with a hearing disability or I didn't want to have the audio on, I can't do anything with this. But if you go up top here, and remember, whenever a video or any audio starts playing in the Chrome, you get this little player up here. It shows you all the different windows that are playing. And this is, I mentioned before, if you've got that video playing on a tab somewhere, you have no idea where it is, this is where you come to mute it. But there's a new piece here. It says live captions. English only, as you can see there. But now anytime there's video playing, I will get my captions showing up here. Doesn't matter whether it's YouTube or Vimeo, because those services have their own live captions, but it's anything else. So videos stored in Google Drive, the closed captioning thing hasn't worked for a year now. This is one way I can get around it. So any video that's available, it'll work in there. If you use the web version of Microsoft Teams, Teams does not have a transcript or a live caption part of it. You could use this. Unlike when you use the application inside Teams, the desktop application, it doesn't tell you who said what. It just spills out all the text because that's all it's hearing. But it's still better than nothing. Two last things, and then we'll be done here. Create your own custom search engine. This is something I've used for years, and I was setting one up for our technology support. If there's a handful of websites that you go to all the time to do your research and stuff like that, instead of going and visiting all those different things, you can create your own search engine. So it's csc.google.com. I'm just going to pull this up here. I have a couple of them in here. This is where I've also created our current, well, I don't think that they're using it anymore, but there was the search site here. But I've created one here for tech support. So it's a search engine. So it's like a web interface like this. And then I pick what are the resources or the sources it's going to search. So I can just say, you know what, I only want to look at Microsoft, WebEx, Google, Apple, specifically the Windows stuff and the Google Workspace. And so you pick and choose what your resources are. So if you do a lot of research in, I don't know, old history or something like that, English history, and there's 10 English history websites, you could create a search engine that looks just at those. Same thing with genealogy. If you wanted to search through 5 genealogy websites really quickly, you can do that. Because what it's doing is using Google's indexing, but you're saying, I don't want anything else. I just want these websites. So when you're done, you get this public URL. I'm just going to open this up in a new window here. And then I type in whatever I want. So I'm going to look at how to share a document. So share a document. So by default, the way I have set it up is this is all. So this is like a Google search. This is what I would see if I went into Google here and just did a search. That's for everything. But now I only want to see results from Microsoft. So now we're talking about sharing a document on Microsoft. And notice it says support.microsoft.com. Okay, great. But you know what? What about Google? How does Google do that? I'll just click over here, Google. Here's how you share files from Google Drive. What about WebEx? How does WebEx share a document? There's how you share your content and stuff in there. Apple, I have an iPhone. Okay, so there's how we use iCloud to share folders and stuff. So you can see here, the beauty of this is not only am I limiting the resources that I want, but I can specifically create what they call labels here that point to that specific URL or that resource, and then just say, I only want this WebEx stuff, and then I'll get all my answers there from WebEx. Saves you from going to each one of those individual websites by themselves, puts everything together, and makes it really quick and easy to switch back and forth. So that is the custom search engine. If you do a lot of searching, and I've set these up for other things that I've done for different topics and that, it'll make your life so much easier, especially if you're hitting those same 5 or 6 sources all the time. You could do one for news. So that's what I've done in the past is I want to check CBC, CNN, CTV, Edmonton Journal, maybe the Brandon News or something like that. And I pick my news sources, and that's all that search engine is going to look at. Just those sources there. Last thing I want to talk about, it's not really related to anything, but I just want everyone to kind of be aware of it. It's something called What 3 Words. What 3 Words is a project that was started a few years ago that basically the guys said, hey, you know what? Let's take a map of the world. We're going to break them out into these little bit of squares and stuff like that and assign 3 words to them. The idea is that if I was trying to get directions for someone to come to some place, trying to say I'm at the corner of Ashworth here and Christie, I have to look around to find it, but I'm not right at the corner. I'm about 5 or 6, yards inside and behind the fence or something like that. That's not very helpful. What 3 Words basically assigns 3 words to every spot in the world. So if I wanted to meet someone at MacEwan here, so let me just sport and wellness, I'll just go look for that first. Okay, MacEwan University, Sport and Wellness. And just for the heck of it, I said, you know what, I want to meet, hang on a second here, I am going to meet at this parking spot right there. So I click on it, groups, readers, brighter. That's how it's done. The nice thing about this is a lot of the emergency 911 response teams are starting to make use of this. So they are aware of it. There's a number of Canadian 911 services that make use of that. And the beauty of all this is that if you take it and use your mobile device, you can download the app. GPS doesn't need data. The information's already downloaded. So I could be, trying to make a phone call in the middle of the bush, right? Literally the middle of the bush. How would you describe how to get there? I could just use these 3 words, and then they could send search and rescue to that exact location. So not MacEwan related at all, but I really recommend that you download the app and stuff. You can use this to do all sorts of stuff. I mean, people have done it for branding and whatever else. The app is kind of cool because if I share those 3 words one of the parts of the app looks like a compass. So it's just got an arrow pointing to wherever those 3 words are. So if I'm trying to find someone else, we're both in the bush somewhere, we have cell, but we don't know where each other is. I can just punch in his 3 words or share it, and then he just has a compass and we just start walking towards each other. So kind of a cool little thing. I've started carrying around because I think, you know, in case of emergencies, it's just a lot easier just to be able to say, okay, hang on a sec. Because otherwise I would have to do Google, and Google would say I'm at, you know, 32.10555 by 19.111 if I'm doing latitude and longitude to get an exact representation. This would be a lot easier. That's it for today. Questions? Nope. Okay, I'll just stop the recording then.